from the 9. Carr throws into traffic. Intercepted. The Bengals have the ball. They are running it back. Sam Hubbard.
Stanford Jennings is going to go all the way. When it comes down, the Bengals are champions.
Now the Bengals Super Bowl chances rest on his right foot. The kick is up. It is good.
Today, Bengal fans, here we gather, talking football back for year 5. We're covering all things Who Dey Nation. We're glad you joined us here tonight. Special guests, past and present players. You never know who you might see. One thing that's for sure, it's all things Bengals. And it all goes back to charity. We at Talking Football want to thank you for joining us for the show tonight. By the fans, for the fans, until the very end. It's Talking Football with Bengal Jim and friends. It's Talking Football with Bengal Jim and friends.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Talking Football with Bengal Jim and friends. I'm back from Canada. Tom and James killed it last week. It was fun watching these guys. Tonight, as you can see, James has a new laptop. He looks clear. He's bright. You can actually see him. He's not dark anymore. It looks good. But tonight we've got John Breech, Bengals all-time leading scorer, coming on. We got John Breech. Yes, that's Jim's son, who's a writer, sports writer for CBS. And our headliner guest of the evening is going to be Burrow Hodge. So and you guys should know that name by now if you're on any social media platform. But, guys, good to see you guys. And I'm excited about tonight's episode.
Welcome back. Thanks to Tom for helping me hold down the fort the last week. It looks like you had a fun trip north of the border. Poutine with Jamie. He even popped on for a little special appearance. Saw the International Fan of the Year. Ate some chicken wings. It was a busy week, and good to have you back here for episode 2 of season 5. Tom?
Yeah, Tom actually gave me a checklist of all the things I needed to do in Canada. The 2 things I didn't get checked off were see an igloo or see a moose. Tom, I didn't get to see an igloo or a moose in Canada while I was there.
Well, you were also supposed to go skiing, but you messed that up too. But no, you went panning for gold in the Yukon. Didn't get any. I understand Trish did pretty well. But no, I'm glad you had a good time. I'm glad you're back safely. The other thing which you kept not accepting the message was that you needed to go over a barrel over Niagara Falls, but you wouldn't do that either. So you're a lot of fun on vacation, I'm sure. But no, it's good to have you back. Good to have the team firing almost on all cylinders. We'll have everybody back together at Jungle Jam, and then hopefully everybody together thereafter.
Yeah. So James, talk about your new laptop, man. What the hell? You went from like an old Mac, old like Commodore 64.
Definitely all Mac, but I went to go trade it in. I went 4th of July off of work. It was a rainy day here in Indy. I was like, I'm going to go trade this thing in. And the dude laughed at me. He's like, this thing, it's like antique, paperweight. He's, I'll throw it away for it if you want, but it holds zero value. So got a new one, bigger screen. It's nice. It's got fancy features. So glad to finally upgrade, but long time coming, and certainly makes it a lot easier for tonight. So
yep.
Excited. I think we're T-minus 2 weeks from Jungle Jam. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. It's going to be here before we know it, but everything's coming together. Jungle Jam is going to kick off football season, as you just alluded to, and exciting time of year for Bengals fans.
Yeah, we're going to get into some serious conversation here later in the show about Jungle Jam. We will tell you right now, there's less than 100 tickets left. I think our last count, we think this is going to sell out. We'll probably have the sold out announcement probably tomorrow or no later than Tuesday, but I bet by the end of the day tomorrow, you're going to see this event being sold out. So we'll talk about that later in the show. Tom, you want to go ahead and do our introduction to maybe our youngest guest we've ever had on the show in 5 years, Tom?
I think he is our youngest guest ever. That's a very good point. But our guest tonight is Burrow Hodges, and he wouldn't come on without his parents. So obviously he's a good kid being raised as a Bengal. There's a shortage of good parenting in the world today. I'm not going to get too high on my soapbox, but clearly in the Hodges house down south, there's a lot of good parenting. He's being raised as a Bengals fan. He was named after Bengal quarterback Joe Burrow. So to kick off tonight, here is Burrow Hodges. Here he is. His dad Grayson and mom Laura. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Happy
what's
birthday.
up, buddy? Hey.
Say hey.
Good day, buddy.
Like I said,
Hey,
Grayson, tell us about you got in touch with the Bengals, and tell us about Grayson's very special present for his birthday. Yeah, absolutely. Who day, buddy?
There he is.
His very special present he got for his birthday.
Yeah, so really started with my brother, actually. My brother and his wife, they live out in Colorado. But, of course, he's a big Bengals fan just like we are. And he knew our Burrow's birthday was approaching a couple weeks ago, and he actually reached out to the team. Oh, no. He actually reached out to the team, and Troy Blackburn. I'm not really sure how he did such a thing, but he was able to get in contact and then basically just asked, would they be able to actually arrange a Joe Burrow interview with Little Burrow for his birthday. And he told me that. My brother told me that. I'm like, that's going to be a long shot. I know how that goes. But anyway, Troy said that they wanted to do something, essentially, for his birthday. The interview probably wouldn't work too well. They wanted to do something. So he put my brother in contact with Emily Parker at the Bengals, and she said that, we'll send something their way for his birthday. They didn't tell us what to expect or anything. We kind of expected, some stickers or maybe a little note or something from the front office. But sure enough, the ball came right after his birthday in a box, and we weren't, had no idea that was to be expected or anything. And I don't know, he's losing it.
Hey, he wants to be interviewed, not you.
He's the star.
You're not showing the Rams Super Bowl on TV, are you? Is that what's got him so upset?
I know. It wasn't me. I know that for sure.
Hey, Grayson, talk about some of these pictures, man. These pictures are just classic. So you got the box. You knew something was in there for him, right?
Yeah, I mean, we knew something was in there. Obviously, it was the package was bigger than we were expecting. And so my wife's always camera ready, and she said, send him on the bench outside. We'll take a few pictures as he opens it because we have no idea what to expect. And then, she was ready with the camera, and he provided some, all-time pictures with his smile and looking right at the camera. And you could sense his excitement just as much as we were. There was a video that we posted also when he opened it, and we saw the signature from Joe. And it was just a really cool moment for us. And, one day, Little Burrow will understand kind of what happened, and we'll be able to show him all the social media posts and the podcasts and the interviews and everything. And it'd be a cool little story for us to show him when he gets a little older.
So, Grayson, tell us about – so I have 4 boys, and all 4 of my boys' middle names is a professional athlete, 3 of them being Bengals, right? So it took me a little talking to make that happen with my wife. Did you and your wife agree on this at all?
We agreed when it came finalized. Time to decide for sure. It took a little bit of convincing. Even like in the intro video, it's funny. The new intro video you guys showed, the McPherson kick against the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl, that was highlighted in there, and that was really the moment it kind of was decided for us. I've been just like everyone else, been waiting a long time for the Bengals to do something exciting during a season, and they made that run in the playoffs. And I told Laura, if they keep winning and they end up making it to the Super Bowl, we're going to have to name, our firstborn son after somebody, and why not do Joe, And then they won the Raiders game, and they came down here in Tennessee and won the Titans game. And then obviously the kick at the end in overtime against the Chiefs was just amazing. And from there, it's kind of a done deal. We kept calling him that when, we were talking about him or referencing him, and it really just kind of stuck. My parents started calling him Burrow. Laura's parents started calling him Burrow. And when the time came to actually, write the name down on the birth certificate, it was really a foregone conclusion. That's what it was going to be. And it just felt like the right thing to do, really.
Hey, Grayson, if Burrow doesn't mind sharing the spotlight a little bit, tell us about your involvement covering the team and taking care of the team. We know you're involved with Malik, who's a good friend of the show. So tell us about that, and tell us about your thoughts about the upcoming season.
Yes, I'm a writer at TWSN with Malik Wright. He's all over X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it. But I just started that a few months ago, so I'm pretty excited about that. But I've been focusing on the Bengals. Obviously, that's where my heart lies, and I've had fun with it. But for this season, expectations are super high, just like they were last year, and coming off the Super Bowl run. I feel pretty confident about it. I'm glad that the T situation got figured out a little sooner than we were anticipating. That was a good sign. Training camp right around the corner. Hopefully, everyone can stay healthy, and we get a full preseason, a full training camp. We can start the season off on the right foot, unlike we have the last couple of years. Seems like we're always kind of behind the 8 ball a little bit to start off. We're kind of chasing everyone else. But hopefully this year the tides will turn a little bit, and they'll be chasing us for most of the way until the very end.
Living in Tennessee, Grayson, will the Bengals at Titans be Burrow's first game, or will you guys be coming north for a game before then?
We'll take them Cincinnati first, and just be surrounded by like-minded people. You never know, just in case. But we're waiting on our season ticket call. I've been a deposit member for over a year now, so I'm waiting for that to come to fruition. And once that happens, we'll be up there frequently. Like you said, we're in Tennessee, so it's about a 5-hour drive up to Cincinnati.
We'll bring him to Bengal Jim's tailgate. Get
that's right.
Little Burrow there. Get his picture taken with Big Burrow.
Yeah,
that's right.
So
we'll for sure. That'd be awesome. Yeah, that's super cool. Definitely take you up on that.
We'll give Burrow the mic on the stage at the tailgate too. He can say and scream whatever he wants, so we'll be good to go.
And by then he'll be ready to talk. I'm sure he'll be all about it. He's used to the spotlight by now. I mean, this last 2 weeks have been crazy, so he's used to it.
Well, you did a great job getting him a football. Next, he needs a puppy, so get on that.
Well, we got the puppies here too, my friend.
There you go.
Yeah,
he's good and said. Like I said, good parenting. So,
I think his first word was dog, actually. So
jeez.
Dog, and then we're working on football still. That's a little longer thing to swallow, but we're getting there.
That's longer.
Yeah. You want to say hi, bud? He's munching his snacks and his water.
There you go.
Blame you.
He has no idea he's so popular.
Well, Grayson, we'd like to have you back on as the season continues with you covering the team.
Yeah,
and I don't know what his normal bedtime is, but hopefully we haven't upset the apple cart too much.
No, he'll be all right. But he's flexible. He's flexible.
But thanks to Mom, and certainly thanks for the story, and the Bengals for doing that for you. They've got a lot of big hearts down there in the Bengals front office, so it's great to hear about.
Yeah, it was really cool to see that all come to fruition. It was really cool.
Sure. Well, appreciate you guys. Let us know when you come to Cincinnati. Love to have you come by the tailgate. Good luck on the season ticket wait. Hopefully you'll get the call with some good news on that, and then stay in touch, and we'll read some articles on Malik's network. That's right, Grayson.
Yeah, I would appreciate that. Thanks for having us, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you.
I see you.
You guys.
Bye, buddy. Hey, hold it. I was going to say put him on big screen. That was awesome.
Good kid.
So we made a big announcement this week, Jimmy, about Jungle Jam getting down to limited ticket availability. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, man, we got we kind of knew it was going to happen. We thought it might happen at the end of June, but we knew for a fact early July. There's been a massive amount of tickets bought the last 2 or 3 days. So I think Tom said something on our text string. The people think they're going to miss out or trying to hurry up and get their tickets right now, because we have less than 100 tickets left as we speak today. So, guys, we have not paid for any advertising, any billboards or anything like that. This has all basically been through social media shared by fans like you guys to your friends and your family. We've had a couple local news interviews and things like that. But, I mean, to have packed house of about 3,000 people in this venue, inside and outside, it just blows me away, guys. We knew there's going to be a lot of people they're going to have FOMO because they're not going to be able to get in this event. We'll talk about that because post-event, there will be a post-event party at Newport on the Levee. So if you can't make it to Jungle Jam, you didn't get a ticket, you'll be able to join everybody at Newport on the Levee after the event. But I don't even know where to start, James. We can go down the list of all the stuff going on. I'll let you kind of hit all these things. We just had a pre-meeting prior to getting on for the show tonight. We met for about 45 minutes and talked about all the things that we have to do to get the ball rolling on this stuff. But James, you want to go down the list of all the things that's going on that day?
We do. As everybody knows, VIP sold out within an hour when we first launched. But, the next question along those lines are, can we get pictures and autographs throughout the day? And that certainly will be the case. For tons of Bengals legends, as we're calling them, will be there. Every decade represented. Is that correct, Tom?
That is correct. The AFL Bengals of the 60s, Pumpkinhead Bengals of the 70s, the Super Bowl, 2 Super Bowls of the 80s, a couple of players from the 90s, into the Marvin era, the 2000s, and the teens. And we're also going to have very good representation of today's team, the 2024 team.
So. Yeah, one thing I want to add to that, guys. I've been to. I don't know if I've ever missed a off-season Bengals event, and they've done kind of a fan fest thing before at the stadium and a couple things, but I've never been a part of something like this, guys, where we got players from every era. I mean, can you imagine Bob Johnson meeting Coach Taylor and James Brooks, meeting Yoshi? It just blows my mind that this is going to happen, right, guys? Look, there's going to be some players that might pull out last minute. There might be some players that come in last minute that we don't announce. But we're going to have a pretty good handful, over 50, we think, players going to be in attendance, guys. So it's going to be something special.
It is. The one thing that we do have availability for, these spots are even limited, is the Cornhole Tournament, which will start at 1 o'clock on Saturday. All proceeds of the Cornhole Tournament go to Cordell Volson, Small Towns, Big Dreams. We want to give a special thank you to the Houday ladies, Lisa, and all the great ladies that are part of that wonderful organization. They've been a big part in helping us with their volunteers, with our bag stuff, and that we're going to do for guests next week. That's another talking point that we can mention. But there is some limited availability if you would like to take part in the Cornhole Tournament. Our buddy Ron Boyle made these wonderful championship belts for the winners. Just as always, Ron does first class work, so we appreciate Ron and his diligence in making those. Those are going to go to the winners of that. So if you're looking to get a last minute ticket and be part, there is some cornhole availability. But let's talk about the gift bags that everybody's going to get. We do have a limited supply, Jimmy, but go ahead and touch base on those that everybody that walks through the doors is going to.
Yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Yeah, I'm going to do this off the top of my head because I just lost my damn notes on this. But we have got everybody, I think 2,500 adults that enter will get a bag. It's a Jungle Jam logoed bag with goodies in it. There's going to be Joe Burrow Foundation is putting 2,500 stress balls in there for you. We've got 2,500 koozies we're putting in there for you. There's going to be some wristbands. There's going to be, actually, I'll show you. I'll spoil the thing here, but one of these will be in every single bag. It's a Ken Riley Hall of Fame card. And then I think everybody that's been on social media, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, you've been seeing our daily announcements. We've been actually putting more than one announcement a day now because we've had so many players coming. You see those little cards that we're announcing today. I think we announced Tim McGee, Tom, and somebody else this morning as well. Bengals Graphics on Twitter has made a deck of 50, I think it's 52 cards. Every player that has agreed to be there has a card, and that pack of cards will be in those bags as well. There'll be Bengal schedules in there. There'll be all kinds of things. But am I missing something here, guys, on those bags? But every paying adult that comes in there will get a bag.
Yeah. So
Joe Burrow stress ball.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. As T. Martin says, stress balls are every Bengals fan's best friends. And when it comes down to the end, yes, we can certainly do that. Need those. But yes, that will be a freebie that will be for the fans. We do have the 2 big sessions as part of Jungle Jam. The first one being at 2 o'clock that day, led by head coach Zach Taylor. Tom will be up there. Dan Horde will help lead that session with Zach and some current players up there talking about the upcoming season preview. Our second session is kind of where this whole thing started with the Jungle to the Hall. If you remember back during COVID 4 years ago, we were at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Big Willie was there. Tom put together a great presentation of 7 to 8 deserving Bengals that needed to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, with Ken Riley being one of them, thanks to the push of Bengals Nation from around the globe for doing that, whether it's been on social media or in person or whatever. Ken Riley was finally inducted, as everybody knows, a year and a half ago. So we're going to continue that push as well. That's going to be a second session as part of Jungle Jam on the 20th. And anything I'm forgetting in regards to those 2 sessions, Tom or Jimmy?
No, we're gonna have more details, guys. Jeff Blake is flying in. We got TJ Hushmanzada flying in. We've got our guest tonight, Jim Breech, will be there. A lot of his teammates. We got Ken Anderson. Some surprises that we can't really announce until you actually show up that day. There will be some signings. Okay, so we'll be reaching out to all the players that will be in attendance, see who's able to do a few signings here and there for us throughout the day. So stay tuned. We'll have more details, and I know a lot of people are excited about getting autographs. There will be some Bengal legends that sign. We just have to determine who that's going to be. We'll make those announcements as probably a week out from the event, and have a more detailed itinerary for everybody that day as well. So it's going to be good stuff. Good stuff.
Our guests are in the waiting room. Jimmy, if you'd like to, or Tom, if you want to go into our next segment.
We have them both or just one?
Both.
One at a time. We're going to pull them both on at the same time?
That's up to you guys. They're both anxiously waiting.
Let's go with number 3 first. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah, got it. Hey, I'd rather talk to Jim than John anyhow. They can both hear us right now. I'm sure John's going to be signing out, but I want to talk to Jim.
John redid his schedule to be with us tonight, but nonetheless, our first guest is the Bengals' all-time leading scorer. Was perfect in clutch overtime games, and actually a record that I don't think will ever be broken with the modern rules in the NFL. But he's a typical Bengal of that era. Class act, involved in the community, one heck of a player. So without further ado, helping kick off this portion is Jim Breech.
Hey, guys.
There he is.
Jimbo, what's up, buddy?
Hey, I got to tell you, John has got a baby to worry about, too, and there's
I just said that.
times, and, he's got to take some of that, take care of little Gus. So I'm
making me feel real bad right now.
So he's got, well, I'll tell you, because we did want you both on, but if we could steal you for a minute, Jim, we appreciate all your time tonight and in a couple weeks, helping us with Jungle Jam and being there. When you get together with the guys, is it remembering the best of times, the toughest of times, or just a lot of laughter?
It's a lot of trash talking. It never stops. It never stopped while we're playing. It never stops when we're together. And some of it's bringing up stories and guys remembering stories. Sometimes it's not remembered exactly the way it happened, but as Kenny Anderson said, as I remember it. So, and there's a lot of that. As we get older, it kind of leans toward your own perspective versus maybe what actually happened. But sometimes we even get it right too.
All right. Well, before we get John in here, I always try to sneak in a selfish question for myself, and I'm trying to make sure I like that. Who was your favorite holder during your time with the Bengals? Now, what you had? Did you have Mike Levenseller to begin with, and then Steve Kreider, and then
actually Levy held for me when I tried out.
Okay.
In '80, but he never held for me in an actual game. Kreider held for me from '81 through '86. Then let's see.
Turk?
Yeah, but I'm trying to figure out how this all went. Turk held for some 87, 88. Kenny Anderson held for me in 86, the first part of the season. And he was by far the worst holder, but I never missed a kick with him. And we were in Kansas City for the first game. It was really windy. He was having trouble handling the ball. We got into it. He said, I quit. He gets up and he just walks to the sideline. He said, I'm not doing this. And we had to make up. We kissed. We made up. We hugged. And, it worked out. We didn't miss any kicks while he was holding back. I guarantee you that was the worst 6 games of his career that he had to play. But anyway, Kenny obviously worked out fine, but Turk was a great holder. Lee Johnson was a great holder. I can't say that I was very fortunate that I had great holders all the way through, really. That's the biggest thing for me.
So, Jim, one thing that was funny, when we posted you were going to be at the Jungle Jam event, Jack Thompson, was he your roommate at any point when he was here?
He was.
What, like, obviously the first couple years, right?
Off and on, different times. I didn't always have one because Pat McAnally, I think he roomed. Pat. I can't remember who Pat roomed with. That's terrible. But he already had a roommate. So I roomed with different guys. I roomed with Turk a couple of times. I roomed with Dave Remington. I roomed with whomever. And so, yeah, JT and I were roommates a lot. Like the Freezer Bowl, we were roommates that night. And so we have a story around trying to get to the stadium and so forth that day. So, yeah, Jack is a great, great guy. I just love Jack.
Got it. One more thing before we'll bring John on here. Jim, talk a little bit more about this Jungle Jam thing. I mean, we're going to probably have close to 60 players there from every decade of Bengals football, man. Is there a player that you're looking at, maybe you haven't met that may be there that you'd like to be able to talk to? I mean, we know we got Coach Taylor coming. We've got a bunch of different players coming as well. But is there any player that you're specifically kind of looking forward to maybe hanging with or talking to?
Always the kickers. Lee comes into town. We hang a lot and we talk a lot about whatever. Lee's nuts, so he's fun to be around. But we have gotten to see a little bit of this over the years with the Ring of Honor, with the 50th anniversary. More and more guys are coming to town. I just love that they come into town and get to see the guys. Not necessarily that I'm looking forward to any one over another, but it's just outstanding to see everybody. And it's great that you guys have been able to pull that off. Hopefully it'll start to help along the lines of getting Willie in and maybe Corey Dillon and Isaac Curry, whoever. We have a line of guys that could be going in, and Kenny Anderson probably is at the top of that. So this can't hurt. None of the stuff going on, the Ring of Honor, the Jungle Jam, what you had previously, none of that can hurt because for finally getting out in front of some of the people that make the decisions.
Yeah, Jim, you just nailed it, man. When we first did this back in 2000, COVID, we, the goal was not to talk about it here locally in Cincinnati area, Northern Kentucky, in our region, and not to bitch about it on social media. It was more about how do we get national attention around that? And this little get together that we did up in Canton with several hundred Bengal fans and Willie Anderson showing up has grown into something massive now. And that's the whole goal. Get national media talking about. At the time, why was there only one Bengal great, Bengal legend in the Hall of Fame? Since then, I truly believe in the bottom of my heart that the fans played a part in helping Ken Riley get in. And you're going to see Ken Anderson get in next round, and you're going to see with the senior committee, and we're going to see Willie Anderson get in as well next round for him. So I truly believe all the things the Bengals have done, Jeff Hops and all the hard work they've done, I truly believe what the fans have done have played a piece in helping these guys get in. We'll continue to do that because what we don't want to have happen, Jim, is there's a great history around this organization. We just don't want our legends to be forgotten. Nobody's ever going to forget Jim Breech, the greatest kicker in Bengal history. And we just don't want our legends to be forgotten. That's what this whole thing's about at the end of the day.
Well, the guys certainly appreciate it. I can tell you that. We were blessed to have the opportunity to play, and we ended up in Cincinnati and obviously going to 2 Super Bowls during my time here. It's just the city grows on you. Fall in love with it. So I appreciate all that, and the fact that you guys are going out of your way to help guys and encourage the voters to look maybe a little bit differently than they did, because so many people think of the 90s and the last decade, and then they just assume, apart from just the last couple of years, that was what they were. But, they've gone to the playoffs several times, 5 years in a row with Andy Dalton. And, but every time something happens, right? Carson Palmer blows his knee out. Andy Dalton breaks his thumb. And just crazy stuff goes on.
Yeah. James, anything before we talk to John?
No, I think Jimmy mentioned it. I think it's a great opportunity for Jim and the Bengal legends, as we call them, just to be in one gathering place. You touched on it earlier, Tom. Every generation of Bengal player will be there. And it's something that's a long time coming. We're just fortunate enough to be able to put it together. And again, it's all evolved from what started as the Jungle to the Hall 4 years ago. And, here we are, the biggest Bengals fan fest ever. So we appreciate Jim and his legwork and getting everything he's done to help get a lot of his former teammates and players part of that. And it's going to be a fun day and a special day at Megacorp Pavilion.
Okay. So we guys want to go ahead and queue up John and get him in here with his dad?
He's ready.
All right. Well, down from south, redoing his schedule tonight, and doesn't look like Jim's grandchild's going to be there. So there was a chance of that, but we thank NFL reporter John Breech for joining us, and we have to pick it up a little bit for John because I think he has to read a story and get somebody to bed.
You know what, guys? Thanks for having me, first of all. And so the baby's 3 weeks old. I thought he was going to make a cameo appearance, but we just got him asleep about 20 minutes ago. And at that point, it's all over. You're not moving him. He's staying still. So no baby.
No baby. Well, thank you for coming on with us.
Sorry, right? Dad. Yeah, my dad hasn't met the baby, so
I haven't. And we spoke the other day, and he had him, and Gus got a little fussy, and then Rachel came and got him. So.
He saved the day. And I also haven't talked football with anyone in 3 weeks because I've been on paternity leave. So it has been 3 hours of sleep, changing diapers. My brain is fried, but I am ready to go, guys. I'm ready to go.
Well, John, thanks. Keeping on the theme we were talking about with your dad, you may not be a Hall of Fame voter yet, but the three of us on here, we've talked to a lot of the voters since we've started, this cause to get a little more notice. Without bashing your profession, what are some of those guys thinking? And I'll clean up the language there. I've talked to guys that have this awesome responsibility. Hey, there we go.
No, I'm listening. Keep going. We're good.
That we had to point out and remind that Ken Anderson had won 4 NFL passing titles. In total. What are these? The guys that. Well, Willie Anderson, he was that good. He went that many years without allowing a sack and that pressure rate. I mean, she's fine. But, what do we got to do to get through to some of these guys?
I think a lot of it is just the fact that they played for the Bengals. I mean, it's just there's this kind of, the small market, big market stuff. You hear about a lot. It doesn't matter as much in the NFL. Because the salary cap kind of evens things out on the competitive playing field. But when you're talking about from historical basis, you see Cowboys players getting all the time. You see Steelers players, all the known teams, the blue collar team, the blue chip teams get all the guys in the Hall of Fame. And when you play for a team like the Bengals, who just don't have that history, you've got to have a Super Bowl win on your resume, which obviously none of them do, or you got to have been the greatest ever to get in there. And I do like that you guys have been making enough noise. I do feel like the Hall of Fame voters have noticed. I think the fact that Ken Anderson's not in is highway robbery. I cannot believe you look at what he did in his era, even out of his era. I mean, his accuracy numbers were through the roof. That's the one that's befollowed me the most. You talk to defensive linemen who played against Willie Anderson. I mean, arguably the best right tackle of his era. That should be a no-brainer. I think those two have to be the one. If you're a Bengals fan or even, a Hall of Fame expert, that should kind of perturb you that those two haven't got in. And I think you could definitely make the case for a few other guys like Lamar Parrish, Corey Dillon, but the two Andersons, that is just, it's almost insulting that they're not in.
Agree. Absolutely agree.
I think part of the problem is the way the game's played today is so different than what we played in the 70s and even early 80s, that when they start, they get distracted by the numbers because there's no way. I mean, the Kenny's stats are going to hold up against anybody that play. Backup quarterbacks are going to throw. Dalton. Andy Dalton's hit 45,000 yards. Kenny Anderson didn't even hit 40, and 40 while I was playing. If you hit 40, that was amazing. That was a great statistic, and I think it was only Fran Tarkenton that hit that forever. So the eras are so different that you have to that's where I think sometimes it gets lost.
Yeah, Jim, when you talk about, Dan Fouts, Terry Bradshaw, these guys that are in the Hall of Fame, I'm sorry, Kenny was head and shoulders above these guys, man. Now maybe Terry played on some better teams, obviously, for a longer stretch of time, which really helped winning Super Bowls. But Dan Fouts, we had Dan Fouts on last year. We got him on video and shared a lot of those videos. Dan Fouts is all in Kenny's corner about why he should be in Pro Football Hall of Fame. But it like you said, John, it amazes me, us, Willie Anderson and Ken Anderson are no-brainers. They're going to get in. Senior committee this time around for Kenny, and then Willie the next time around. They're going to get in, but it shouldn't have taken this long.
But Kenny made a comment about a year ago. He said, "Look, if you're gonna," he was talking to a voter. He says, I'd love to get in, but if it's gonna take 5 years and I can't enjoy it, I don't really want to go in. If I'm like in a wheelchair or God forbid, had passed away like Ken Riley, he goes, don't put me in. I don't want to go in for that reason. I want to have time to enjoy the fact that I got voted into the Hall of Fame. And, it's just, it happens. These senior guys many times are quite a bit older.
Yeah, and I think another issue real quick is that, nothing changed. It's not like Ken Anderson go out and improve his numbers. It's not like Will Anderson can go out and make things better. You're kind of at the mercy of the voter. So you've got to have this unbelievable case put together because each of these guys gets presented. And I think that is difficult to do for offensive linemen because it's hard to quantify how good they were. Really, you just need to get testimonials from all the defensive linemen that played against him, which we've had guys come out and speak and say, hey, Will Anderson belongs to the Hall of Fame. And with Ken Anderson, it's just all about pointing out the numbers and just how good he was in his era. And his accuracy was through the roof. He's a former NFL MVP. He got the team 5 points away from a Super Bowl win. So it just seems like when you look at the other quarterbacks from the era who have gotten in, it's kind of crazy that Kenny hasn't.
Hey, really, John, this is interesting. I'm sorry, Tom. So let's talk about their personalities. I think there's a little bit that has to do this, but I'm asking actually Jim and John this question. I mean, you got Willie Anderson, Ken Anderson, and Ken Riley. All three of their personalities are pretty similar, like very humble guys, worked hard, grinded, just played their asses off, just did outstanding job, Hall of Fame careers. But they weren't guys like Michael Irvin or Drew Pearson that kind of look at me, loud, boisterous guys. Does that play into this a little bit as well?
I would say it does. I mean, you look at the guys who are out there marketing themselves and saying, hey, look at me, and or teams that will do that for them. And look at, I would say, the NCAA tournament. Sometimes you'll see at the end of conference tournament season where the coaches, some of them, the ones that have boisterous personalities, will come out and say, we absolutely deserve to be in. And maybe that sways the committee, maybe it doesn't, but it feels like it's something that should definitely be said. So when you do have a cheerleader out there who's kind of cheering on your cause and making sure your name is out there at the top of the list and that none of the voters forget it. I mean, if somebody was out there sending every Hall of Fame voter a Ken Anderson breakdown once a month, every month, so they could never forget that Ken Anderson needs to be in the Hall of Fame, that might help him a little, but that's just, it's not out there. So I do feel like that helps maybe a little bit for guys that have that, but it doesn't feel like Kenny and Willie do.
I think a perfect example in Cincinnati was Chad Johnson. If he had finished his career like he was for the many of the middle years, if he'd have finished that strongly, everybody would have known who he was. He would have gone in, I believe. But he didn't finish strong, and he fell a little short. But he did lead the AFC in yards, receptions, 4 years in a row. Nobody in history, even Jerry Rice, didn't do that. So, but Chad was, everybody knew Chad. From that standpoint, I think we'd lose it with Kenny and really when Kenny was playing, Paul Brown was around. It's like, act like you've been there. That was what it was all about. So Lamar Parrish was the exception. He was flamboyant and exciting, and he's getting left out there too. I mean, everything he's done is exceptional.
Yep. I think you're right, Jim. I think, we talk about the guys that we feel should be in the Hall of Fame. We got that should be considered. Corey Dillon, Chad Johnson, Lamar Parrish, Ken Riley, Ken Anderson, Max Montoya, and Willie Anderson. These are guys that we feel should actually be in the Hall of Fame. You can't get them all in at one time. That's why we're knocking them off the list. Ken Riley just went. We think Ken Anderson, Willie Anderson are next in line.
And there's other teams going through this process too that have guys they think should be in. So, and I think the voters are going through that because there are guys out there, because you have so many players on a football team playing. It's hard to quantify offensive linemen or defensive linemen, particularly guys playing nose tackle. All those guys on the defensive line that put the Steelers linebackers in the Hall of Fame, because all they did was, they held up the line and those guys just ran unimpeded to make tackles. So, it's hard because it's a game. It really is a team game. And I think it gets lost at times in individual things and positions that don't have numbers behind them.
Like that, John, shifting gears a little bit to modern times, the 2024 Bengals. Overall, what did you think about the adjustments the team made to the roster in the offseason?
I really thought the Bengals had a more underrated offseason. I think there's just been so much focus on Joe Burrow's health, and that makes sense because obviously if Joe Burrow's not healthy, this team's probably not going to go very far. But you look at what they did, and it feels like they filled every possible hole that needed to be filled. One of my favorite signings was Mike Gesicki. I think that was one of the more underrated signings. When he was in a high-powered offense, he put up very good stats. He didn't put up huge numbers the last couple of years, but I think that him and Joe Burrow can have a connection. I won't be surprised if he has a surprising year. Like in fantasy, that will be somebody, hey, maybe that could end up being my tight end. That's how confident I am that he could have a bigger year. I like Zach Moss coming in and obviously losing Joe Mixon's not great, but Zach Moss is much cheaper. And also he's good pass blocker. And that's what you need. Everything's about protecting Joe Burrow right now. And Zach Moss kind of fills that. I like that. And one thing that I think might have, it obviously didn't fly under the radar, but maybe wasn't read correctly, is the T. Higgins signing his franchise tag. Usually people in that situation, players in that situation, it's like, why not skip training camp? Why would I sign that franchise tag right now? We saw Jesse Bates do it a couple years ago where there's no reason to show up and put your body through those practices. You sign your tag in August, you skip training camp. I would say that's what happens most of the time. But the fact that T. Higgins signed his tells that's an encouraging sign that he knows, hey, look, not only do I need to have a big year because I'm in a contract here, but I need to have a big year because I think this team's awesome. The fact that T. Higgins wants to be at all of training camp, I think is an unbelievably encouraging sign for that team.
100%. Let's talk about, we just mentioned Willie Anderson for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, undervalued at right tackle, was all left tackle. But then we saw the NFL shift, all those defensive ends, the Bruce Smiths, all those guys switched to attacking the right tackle position. Huge issue last year. We saw him not only address it in the draft with the first overall pick with Mims and Trent Brown coming over for New England. Talk about that and solidifying that right side of the line for Joe, if you would, John.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that absolutely had to be done. We all saw what happened when Joe Burrow got injured, and it's been rough going for him. We've all watched the past few years where he's just been under pressure. It's unbelievable that he carried the 2021 team to the Super Bowl. When you look at where the offensive line starters from that team are now, it is absolutely mind-boggling that Joe Burrow survived behind that line and got that team to the Super Bowl. And I think that really goes – I always feel like Joe Burrow's a little underappreciated, especially when you look around and, people are worried about his health. But I think the Bengals finally, it feels like this offensive line could be real good. But, I still do think you have some questions at right tackle. I mean, do we know that Trent Brown is going to be great this season? We don't know. We got a 1-year deal. You hope a prove-it deal is enough and that he's going to go out and dominate. And obviously you draft Amarius Mims, but, he didn't have a ton of experience coming out of UGA. Yes, he practiced against studs all the time, every day in practice and less than 20 starts in college. So I think you're a little concerned there with the experience and that eventually he will turn into a cornerstone right tackle. But what does that mean for 2024? I think it's still a question mark. So I think even though you made 2 huge additions, right tackle is still a little bit of a question mark just because of the unknown.
You know what I like about it? Trent Brown has trouble staying healthy. Mims hasn't played a ton. Between them, they should be able to get 17 games. But Trent Brown can play guard also. And he worked at guard in the OTA. So I think that's helpful that he's got. If they have to put Mims in there, if somebody goes down and on the offensive line, when the guards goes down, he could move in to play guard as long as they stay healthy. And that's always the case, right? You got to have guys that stay healthy.
Jim, if you can touch on this, Jim, we heard losing DJ Reader was a loss in the locker room. We know that he was obviously a run stuffer up front, but if your playing days, Jim, if you can talk about how important some of the leaders are in the team, whether it was on the offensive side of the ball, defensive side of the ball, or special team, how much players gravitated towards those leaders or listened to them as opposed to a head coach barking in their ear every practice?
It was setting the tone. We're fortunate, like on defense, Dick LeBeau, everybody loved Dick LeBeau, so they listened to Dick LeBeau, but you have got to have players who go the extra mile that will reach out and teach the younger guys how to study. Ray Lewis was known for bringing in the young guys to his house, teaching them how to watch film. Von Bell has his defensive backs go in a room almost every morning. They get together and they have meetings without the coaches. Those guys make or break a team. When you lose that leadership, you're all counting on the coaches, but you got to have internal leadership. We had Anthony, we had Boomer, we had guys, Reggie Williams. We had a lot of guys that would stand up. Chris was another one. And so we were very fortunate that we had some great guys in the locker room to lead our team. And the Bengals have it in spades. DJ Reader was phenomenal, but bringing Von Bell back, I think was huge.
Hey, John, let me ask you this. Even if your dad wasn't on the screen, I would say this. He kicked our butts. He kicked our butts a couple of years ago in the Final Four of this Foaling tournament. And me and my buddy Dell are in the Foaling tournament. I'm like, we got Jim Breech coming out. Oh, we're gonna kill Jim Breech, man. We're gonna make it to the championship. Your dad was just there, just throwing lasers, just knocking down these pins. I know he's a hell of a golfer already. I know he's a great golfer, and I knew he was a hell of a quarterback in high school. Did you get any athletic ability from your dad at all? Anything? Oh, you're muted. You're muted, John. Sorry, buddy.
Don't play my dad in anything. He's a total hustler. That is what he does. You go out there, you see this 5'6", 190-pound guy, and you think you're just gonna destroy him, and then you walk out 30 minutes earlier, like, how did I lose that? What the hell just happened? That was literally my whole entire childhood. I still don't think I've ever beaten him in a game of one-on-one basketball. I've certainly never beaten him in golf. I probably would get crushed by him in falling. And he's a super athlete who does everything. And he's just, you don't understand it because you just see this little guy. And I did get some of the athletic ability. I was probably the fastest of our family. But what does that mean when you're a bunch of kickers? I dabbled in every sport in high school. I played a little tennis, ran some track, obviously played football, but I tried to kind of play a little bit of everything. So I definitely got a little bit of the athleticism, but I did not get the NFL level athleticism.
So John, on that note, John, I can remember a story when I was a kid reading it, not in the local papers, but Sports Illustrated. There was a golf tournament somewhere, and there's a bunch of Bengals there for charity, your dad included. And a bunch of guys went out, and to start, they had a longest drive contest. And I guess the linemen and all the guys got out there, and a couple of them belted, decided who the winner was, whoever was, some big guy, and your dad hadn't gone yet. And so they were like, it's Jim, it's our kicker, come on. So they said, well, wait a minute. And your dad got on there and just absolutely smoked these guys. So I don't know if you've ever been on the golf course with him as well. Is it just he's a long hitter, or is he got a full game?
Full game. He does everything. He might be a little old now. I don't know if the back's holding up so well, but I'm
telling
right. You, we used to go out every Father's Day for about 10 straight years and play around. And I don't even know that I came within 10 strokes of him in any of those 10 years. And that was, I'm in my 20s. He's in his 50s. So should have been very beatable. But he was not. And so maybe I need to get him out. He's pushing 70 now. So I need to get him out there again soon. I think I might be able to take him soon because he's aging himself out of this.
The back is running into difficulties at times. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's funny, guys. Real quick, I can't even beat him in putt-putt. We went to putt-putt. Played for money at my brother's bachelor party. So we have like 20 guys there. We're all playing. We're all thinking, there's no way this old man's going to beat us. Who hustles all these guys at the bachelor party? My dad. He comes away with official putt-putt champion. So you can't even beat him at putt-putt. There's nothing you can beat him at.
Hey, so John, just like, kickers are athletes. I don't care what anybody says because I experienced it firsthand with your dad at the Foley tournament, him throwing footballs. But, Jim, you used to quarterback when you were in high school, I think. Was that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And they said at some point, you weren't tall enough to quarterback, right? So they moved you from quarterback. But can you imagine?
No, actually, I played quarterback all the way through high school, and I just kicked. And then my high school coach says, they give scholarships for kicking. And I'm like, what? So that's after I got through, obviously at 5'6". I actually was recruited by some smaller colleges as a quarterback too, but I had no intention of ever trying to play quarterback in college because I knew I wasn't going anywhere with that. That's for sure.
Can you imagine, Jim, 5'6" quarterback trying to throw the ball over 3 6'8" behemoths in front of you that the Bengals have?
Can I tell you, my last couple of years, I was the emergency quarterback, and so I had to practice. And I can tell you that when I would drop back to throw, I literally couldn't see anything. And I would just throw into where I thought they were going to be. So they put in 6 plays for me, 3 rollouts right and 3 rollout left. So if I was going to throw, it would have been on the run to the right or the run to the left, get outside so I could see somebody. So, I had it was impossible, basically. I don't know how Murray does it at 5'9".
Right.
I think you find slots. If your offensive line does a good job and they open up the lane, you can actually see down the middle of the field. But if you have to try and look over to the outside, it's really hard because you can't. I guarantee he can't see where he's throwing it.
No
so
way,
we always learn something new on Bengal Jim and Friends. So John updated us that you were the putt-putt champion. So we updated your name underneath in the white box there.
Putt-putt champion.
Hey, real quick, I'm gonna throw. There's a commenter, Prodigal Skeptic said his dad would crush my dad at croquet. Guess what? He's also good at croquet. He literally had a croquet set growing up. I couldn't beat him at croquet, and I thought I was pretty good at croquet. No one else in our neighborhood had a croquet set. I was crushing everyone. Could not beat my dad at croquet. So we actually played croquet. No joke.
So can I tell you, my brother, the park we lived near had, not while I was a kid, but when he was younger, he was almost 12 years older than me. They had croquet championships. He won the city croquet championship back to back, and I could give him a run for his money. So, hey, let me tell you, we're competitive. We came down for Annabelle's birthday on Easter. We came to Nashville a couple years ago. So the birthday party, we have all these balloons, right? Well, we decide we're going to play kick the balloon, land it on the step. We did that for almost 3 hours, knockdown, drag out competition because we compete at everything. I mean, my kids are nuts about compete. We compete on everything.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, guys, look, we got over 1,200 fans watching right now on all 3 social media platforms that we're on. They couldn't wait to see you guys and talk to you guys. And I know we didn't get to any viewer questions at all, but John, Jim, we've had you way longer than we said we were going to have you. It means a lot. It really does, guys. And thank you so much for being with us. And Jim, as you know, brother, you're an absolute Bengal legend. You will always be loved by Bengal fans. And we can't wait to see you and hang with you down at Jungle Jam July 20th.
Thanks. Looking forward to it. I'd love to see a couple of my, a couple other legends go in, particularly Kenny. I think he's so deserving, and Willie particularly. But thanks for having me, and looking forward to the 20th.
All right. John, Jim, thank you, buddy. We appreciate you guys.
Yep. Thanks very much, guys.
Thank you guys so much.
See ya.
Thank you.
New day. There you go.
That's pretty good stuff, man. That is good stuff.
You never
James,
know what you're going to talk about.
Did you have croquet on your Bengal Jim and Friends bingo card tonight?
I did not. That croquet would come into discussion, and we said we've got a lot of backyard gamers in the chat session. I think Mons challenged him to backgammon, checker, chess. Brandon says he's the shuffleboard champion of Portsmouth. So we've got a lot of and hey, and if you're a cornhole champion or think you are, sign up for Jungle Jam July 20th. A couple spots left. If you are the king of cornhole, we need some more players.
Yeah, there are definitely some good clips out of that episode with Jim and John. But it's like every show there's some different something that's never happened before, right? We've had the youngest Bengals fan on this evening. We had a father-son on today, and then talking about croquet. That's like you said, that's not something we've talked about on the show before. But let's switch gears. We got a couple minutes. I do want to go back to Jungle Jam a little bit, if it's okay, guys. James, can you go through there's going to be a silent auction that day. You can kind of go through some of the things we're taught, what's going to be available on that silent auction and the charities that are going to be benefiting from this.
We can. There's a lot of great prizes. I just put in the chat another link that'll get you to the Jungle Jam page. So there will be raffle tickets. You do not have to be in attendance. You can join us virtually. The Revive Foundation will be walking around selling 50-50 raffle tickets that day. You do not have to be there. You can be at home and sign up for that. So that's available. The year of season tickets, we're a couple of weeks away from that drawing. 100% of those proceeds go to the Joe Burrow Foundation. I think Jimmy kicked himself off stream. There you are.
Here he is. Not sure what happened there.
We'll blame Jamie for that. He's not even here, but we'll blame Jamie for that one. So the year of tickets, and then going to the silent auction items. A lot of great prizes. Week 2 package, which includes 3 nights at the Harris Casino in Kansas City, 2 suite tickets, maybe next to Tom Justin, maybe next to Taylor Swift. We don't know whose suite you'll be there, but that's available. Cannoli cooking class. So if you got the wife, she's on you about getting down to Jungle Jam, buy her a cannoli cooking class at, what's the name of that place there in Covington, Jimmy?
Here, I'll pull it up here right now. It's Delgardo's.
There you go.
Great spot in Covington near Braxton and Rich's Chicken and some places down there. But great dudes he's doing some cannolis for us and donating that cannoli class at your house. That he will come and do the how to make cannolis, that bake cannolis. I don't know, fry them. I don't know what you do with them, but they're delicious. I know that.
Cannolis. The other cool stuff in that silent auction, the Joe Burrow print by our man Sean Volkler. That's go to that link. You can see that in there. There's a Joe Burrow team issue jersey. There's Evan McPherson signed stuff. Anthony Munoz, Kenny Anderson. There's about 20 items that aren't even in there yet. So those will be updated on a week from today, Sunday. And then, again, you don't even have to be in attendance for Jungle Jam. You can be online and register to win those prizes virtually. So all that link is provided in the chat here. So if you can't make it and want to be part of the day, lots of great opportunities to do so, to give back, to be part of it. Let's see if we have the banner. I don't think we have it in our files here, but 6 great charities: Revive Foundation, Ken Anderson Alliance, Anthony Munoz, Cordell's Volson, Small Town Big Dreams, Ted Karras Village of Marici, and there's one more that I'm missing.
Joe Burrow Foundation.
So 6 great charities are going to benefit from the event July 20th. And we appreciate all of our sponsors. If you've seen social media over the last couple of weeks, we slowly filtered out the list of the great sponsors that have contributed in one way or another. So we appreciate all of them for being part of it. And what else am I forgetting, Jimmy?
Yeah, just real quick, just talking about the food there that day. So Donato's, Skyline, and Big Dog Barbecue, as well as Witt's Frozen Custard Ice Cream, will have their food trucks there. And then Canado Tacos, Delgardo's Cannolis, Midwest Barbecue, and El Jefe's, the Cuban sandwiches, are going to be supplying food to our VIPs, the players and their families that come. So we've had the whole community come together on this thing. Local, family-run restaurants wanting to come to be involved in this. So it's been a lot of fun. So 12 to 6, I would get there. We're going to have probably 6 or 7 different tailgate vehicles outside of the venue set up. We said 2:00, I think, James, is going to be the season preview with Coach Taylor. Then 3:30.
That tentative schedule. To answer Mike's question, yes, the 50-50 raffle, Revive Foundation will be there walking around selling tickets. So half of the proceeds will go to the winner. Half of the proceeds will go to our buddies at the Revive Foundation. But tentative schedule, as everybody knows, gates open at noon. The VIP session starts at 12:30. Cornhole tournament begins at 1. There'll be an autograph session, an additional autograph session starting at 12:30. 2:00 will be our season preview, 2024 season preview. Dan Horde and our man Tom Justin will be leading that. 3:30 will be our Jungle to the Hall presentation on stage, Jungle to the Hall 4, with Dave Lapham and Tom leading that. We have the Trailer Park Floozies. We have another second session of alumni autographs. We talked about the silent auction, cornhole winners on stage. So just a fun packed day. We'll be releasing that as we get a little bit closer. That's, again, fluid like a lot of the players are. But it's going to be a fun day, action-packed day, and look forward to rocking Megacorp on July 20th.
Yeah, DJ Trub will be there spinning tunes early. We've got 2 face painters, a magician walking around. We got the Bengals going to be, the whole crew is going to be there. We've got Houday, the mascot's going to be there for about 3 hours for us. Crazy, crazy fun event. A lot of time and effort's gone into this. A lot of us spent a lot of time on this, but man, without you guys blowing through these tickets like you have, this would have never happened, because we had a huge expense that we stepped out on the ledge on here. And not only were we able to pay for our expenditures on this thing, but there's going to be a lot of, everything went beyond our cost, and this is going to go to these charities. And we don't know what that number is going to be, but we know it's going to be a pretty good chunk of dollars. We're hoping it's 50,000 plus, hopefully, to these different charities. 5 or 6 different charities are going to be there that day. So pretty fun, pretty amazing stuff. So
Tom, anything else to before we end it?
No, again, you guys, we mentioned Megacorp. We've been talking to them since the infancy, since this sort of reboot, bringing in the Jungle Jam, just how fantastic everybody over there has been, their cooperation, their guidance. And I think we might even hear from them in a little bit more detail on the show next week, but we won't get too far ahead of ourselves. Please pay attention to your social media. There are going to be a couple pretty big names dropped tomorrow that have confirmed to be at Jungle Jam, and stay tuned for all that. And again, thank all of you for tuning in with us every week. Without all of you, none of this is possible at all in any way. There are a lot of ways you can get your Bengals news and talk football with your friends. So we really appreciate you being one of the friends. It isn't just the faces you see on the screen. It's all of you. So thank you.
Yeah. Guys, we thank you so much for being with us. Don't forget, there's less than 100 tickets left. You're probably going to see the announcement go out sometime late tomorrow or early Tuesday that Jungle Jam is sold out. And then one thing I think we need to probably post on social media, guys, is once this event gets sold out, you're going to see a lot of scammers out there trying to sell you tickets. Do not buy tickets from anybody other than a friend or family member. So we're going to talk about that and probably post some information on social media. We've already had a little bit of that. Just like any event that goes on out, concerts and anywhere else, just be careful who you're buying them from. That's all. Right now, through our social media platforms and Megacorp Pavilion, you're good to get those there. After it gets sold out, just make sure if you're buying them from somebody that can't attend, make sure it's somebody you know, a friend and family that would be able to sell them to you. James, I'm saying that correctly, because I know that we're concerned about.
Well, and there won't be tickets for sale on our social media page. So anything that we talk about sold out will be turned off, just because that simply prompts those bots to go in. And honestly, if you remember back to Super Bowl, the Saturday night party that sold out pretty quick, we ended up seeing a lot of people scammed by ticket sellers. So don't buy anything that's not official from Access or somebody you know. As our buddy T. Martin says, hit the likes, hit subscribe on whatever platform you're watching. We appreciate each and every one of you for joining us. Stay tuned to social media this week as we keep announcing exciting news for Jungle Jam. And again, this is by the fans for the fans. And Jimmy, go ahead and end us, buddy.
Nope. Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys. Who day? We'll see you next week.
Who day?